you need counseling, you can go to rebuildingtheman.com or call 800-411-2663. 800-411-BOND. Best counseling service on this side of heaven.
I just want to say thank you for everything that you do. You've absolutely changed my life for the positive, and I just want to thank you. I was 29-year-old beta, living at home with my mom, and just was living in fear and in doubt, and I couldn't hold down a job. And then I found you, and I started listening. I started just being more at peace, and I forgave my mom, and I forgave my father. And it's like right after that, everything just changed in my life, and I was able to get a good job, and I moved out, and I live on my own now, and everything has just changed. And I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you for spreading that message. It really is a positive message.
Amazing. That's good, man. I want people to know God loves us in ways that there are no words to express, because you have nothing to compare it to, right? Stay with the silent prayer. You haven't seen anything yet. It gets better. Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby. You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on America's soil. So he became the anchor baby. You don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, on this fine Thursday. Week's going by fast, I think. Welcome to the show. What can I say? Appreciate you being here. We got a bit of a show to get into today. So it's a pleasure to have you back, okay? Nice to see you. We'll be getting into it, okay? So if you want to call in, you can call in 888-775-3773. But it's lovely. It's a pleasure to be back, right? Seeing you here. How you doing, everybody? Welcome. I'm seeing you all. Click the like button. Don't be rude. What's this crown thing going on here? People have crowns? You guys are number 1, number 2, number 3. How do you get the crown? What makes you, and what puts you in the scoreboard? What affects your score? Anybody know? We got amazing things happening, I guess, in the YouTube chat. So if you're not watching there, you're watching on rumble.com/American Anchor Baby, dlive.tv/Gorgonzola, punchy.tv/Anchor Baby. And if you're rolling into the YouTube chat, you're noticing that you have crowns, okay? This is a party. Is this special? Is this special just for this stream, or is this a new thing? YouTube is calling it a community. Hey, sounds fun, no? Get your XP. It's saying you want to stand out in the leaderboard, send live chat messages, super chats, and super stickers. Earn XP and get on the leaderboard. look, they're advancing the technology. They're advancing the technology on YouTube. So come on into the chat and don't be rude. Now you get a crown, okay? Sit back with your crown. Click the like button. Don't be rude. Show some decorum. Say hello. You get XP now just saying hello. Ain't that fun? Say hello. Leave a comment. Maybe you don't like the show. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you like, maybe. To summarize it all, though, have some decorum, okay? Please don't be rude. All right, so what can I say? Welcome to the show. We got to get into it here a little bit. You know, there's a number of things we got to get into. There's trouble in Dream Team land, you know? Trouble in Dream Team land, and I guess that's what's going to happen when the leaders of the world, the men of the world, butt heads a little bit, okay? They all want something maybe a little bit different. If only they all want, maybe they all want the same thing. If only, what can bring peace, we'll see. But there's a bit of trouble in Dream Team land, so to speak, and there's been some moments with Trump that have anchored, so to speak, anchored my thinking of the world a little bit. In that, I get all these calls and you hear all these things, and you know me, I stay far away from talking about things I know nothing about. Right? That's the reputation of the anchor baby. Maybe not so much, but at least I really do. I really do say what I don't know, and you know, when it's something I just heard, when I can't confirm it. And it's frustrating sometimes to people because it's so obvious maybe sometimes to them, but I got to stick to that prime directive. If I don't know, I don't know. And that's just how it is. That being said, some things have been laid out in an interesting article. New York Times, we'll get into all of it. Trouble in Dream Team land. What else was I saying here? Look, they're blocking the tariffs. So you can't govern. You hear about it, and it seems to have ramped up in another way. The courts run the government. The courts run America. You can't do anything. They're saying that Trump, in his power of the president, which maybe there's a lot I don't understand there. What's he allowed to do? They're blocking him. Like, you just got to wonder, where was all this court power? It seemed to have been in concert with whatever was running the country before. And all this court power suddenly pops up and says, hey, Trump, now you can't even do those tariffs. You can't do anything. We'll get into a number of things here. What else here? Look, I might have even done some of my homework. A couple people left me some homework, okay? The teachers teach, you know, they're like, Nick, you got to do your homework. I'm like, oh, I have homework. And I may not have done my homework too well. I may have slapped it together last night, but we might have a chance to get to that for those who've been watching the show and know that I might get graded on my homework soon. All right, folks, appreciate it. Okay, you're all fighting for the crowns, and the Kangs are in the chat. Now, what else here? That's pretty much it. Welcome to the show, 888-775-3773. If you got something on your mind, you want to jump in on hold, something that you want to speak about, etc. Okay. We'll get to the crowns, the super chats, the supporters, and all that. You guys are going off, and I love it. Thank you. And what else here? What else? Okay, so that's pretty much it. Welcome. Okay, that's pretty much it. Let's honestly jump in on something here that I found fascinating. You know, I follow Trump and stuff. I follow the news. I follow the news. What can I say? Am I that deep of a guy? I don't know. You guys watch me maybe for the honesty. Just like, what is that a cute way of putting, he doesn't know what the heck he's talking about? You guys watch because I honestly react. The anchor baby reacts to this, to America and the world and what's happening, okay? But I've been watching for a number of years now, and Trump is now president again, obviously, blah. But he's trying for peace, okay? You know this because these conflicts popped up. They've been going on. Right? You go back to 2014 with Ukraine. you go back even further, right? Middle East. Oh, geez, that's another can of worms or whatever. But these conflicts have been popping off, and the world's looking at America. Many Americans are looking at Trump. The world, in a sense, is maybe looking at America for their place, right? Their place in the world, and they're looking at America and the established order for an answer to the instability, the chaos, however you may feel about it, decide on it, what you think this should happen. People are looking, waiting, right? And Trump says, and these fears, you've seen it right? As these conflicts have been talked about, these fears of dictators starting to rise, right? The Hitler of Russia moving past Ukraine in a war of conquest, right? Of revanchinism to bring back Russia, Soviet Russia, I don't know. Stuff you hear, right? And then boom, right in the middle of that, Middle East conflict. Oh, that's an old one. Here we go. But they have bombs. They have nuclear weapons, some of those. And the world gets a little chaotic. People, it seems to be, what? War, tension, global tension, has a way of affecting people maybe. I know many would just want to stay out of it. I get that. I mean, it's just so confusing personally for me. Like, I don't even care. Okay, I mean, have you seen The Border? Although Trump is doing a great job with that, right? But it seems to affect, right? You hear about the Houthis messing up trade in the Suez Canal. I mean, that's a major thing. Who can bring stability? Who could deal with that chaos and ruining trade? I mean, that's the whole world. Well, they look to America. They look to, I'm sure, a few, and this rests on Trump. I mean, he says it himself. He wants to bring peace. That's what he campaigned on, and many things. So Trump comes in with a bit of a different vision, don't you think? A vision for diplomacy. This is kind of my view of it, right? In a time when it seems like all these old alliances, the pundits, the representatives, the Republicans, they call them rhinos and war hawks, right? Lindsey Graham, you got the Democrats and the Bidens and all those people who were the enemies that started the Ukraine war, and then you scratch your head, you're like, a whole bunch of people sound like that. And they could be R, D. And Trump comes in with the vision for diplomacy when it seems all these sides are just, they're saying no, it's war. We're already there. It's already, diplomacy's done. We got to go. That's just my impression. Okay. I could give you maybe evidence, but then we'd be here a long time. Allow me to get through this. That's his vision. The vision for peace. He says the world doesn't need to slip further into turmoil, basically. Okay. And many Americans for some time, and those getting into it with Trump and all that, wonder why America has to so heavily push further into conflicts, into the world. Some have whiplash, and they lived through it and all that over Iraq, Bush, etc. Many of you know better than that. What a mistake that was, right? Trump said. Didn't Trump call that a mistake? One of those wars, right? Trump promises peace, right? And so he seems to be working hard to do something the world seemingly wants to be obstinate about. Okay. And maybe that's a simplistic view. That's just my little anchor baby on that one, right? He seems to be the one that wants to work at it. But okay, here's evidence. I mean, he's trying with Putin. I mean, just taking Zelensky, right? Remember the Zelensky meeting? That whole thing? The setting was the mineral deal. I mean, obviously, the setting was this conflict that popped off between Russia and Ukraine. But at that moment, Trump was brokering this mineral deal with Ukraine. But it hinged on Ukraine playing ball, playing ball that they too want peace. And Trump, as you know, made a big push for a diplomatic solution with Russia. Still is, but he was doing that at that time. And a big thing is the ceasefire and peace with Russia. To summarize, Zelensky famously firmly resisted that. If you remember, Trump firmly resisted back. No, I mean he put his hands on it. If I remember, I forget exactly how he put it, but he was telling him, "No, you don't get to push things around here. You don't get to do that." Okay. It was one of those moments. That was just one of those. What else about that? You remember that moment, right? I mean, you saw the two sides what they wanted. Trump wants this diplomatic solution and peace. Zelensky wanted this security guarantee, and you got to defend us. We need missiles here and all that. That's the red line for Russia, right? Russia's saying U.S. is it's just way too close. So these were the two perspectives. Fiery moment, you remember. And it was one of those moments that showed me a little bit how the world works, the forces at play, and namely the ones opposed to Trump in this case. I mean, just consider between Zelensky and Trump who had the leverage and what Trump wanted and who's in the way of peace in that moment. It's not necessarily to say that Russia's an ally, but at least in Trump's mind and in the administration's mind and their winning scenario conditions, Zelensky's in the way, right? So, interesting moment, right? Iran's a big deal. Iran, you hear about Iran, right? You hear about Hamas and this attack, and you're like, okay, well, duh. Hamas attacked Israel. They're going to go fight them back. And then you hear about Iran. It's like, what's Iran got to do with it? Okay, they supply Hamas, Hezbollah. It's a big constellation, and the money goes around. Okay, that's what you hear. That's what you hear, and all that. So where was I? Trump's dealing with that as well. March sends a letter to, what's this guy's name? I don't even know how to say this. Khamenei, the Ayatollah. He's trying to make a deal. The big nuclear deal. How to broker peace and make a deal on how they're going to handle Iran and nuclearization, right? Will they be able to enrich it? Will they be able to make weapons or not? Basically, nobody wants them to have the bomb, but they want it because it's a big security thing, right? It's us versus them. Anyway, so he's there trying to make a big deal. Gave him 2 months. This started like a 2-month deadline. Okay. They've been discussing it since. We're in May 2025. I mean, I'm hearing the reports are that the talks are difficult. What can I say? I mean, I'm not too, you guys know, it's not like I'm an expert. Let me try and move a little quicker here. But they say the talks are notoriously difficult, right? Iran says U.S. nuclear deal isn't imminent. Enrichment program must continue. They disagree, right, on the details on what are you going to do with them nukes. I hope they can deal with that, right? I hope they can come up with peace, right? Is that a bit of an assumption? I'm willing to hear calls about it. Am I wrong about that? Is that an assumption of mine? War with Iran seems wrong. Am I wrong? Change my mind. Just war in general, like. So where were we? The reports say they haven't gone well. And I saw calls coming in, by the way. I'll get to you. 888-775-3773. Where was I? So that was just an interesting thing, right? No, I was done with Zelensky. Iran, and reports are that they haven't gone well. So this was on the front page of the New York Times yesterday. Here, let me just pull it up here. A little article here, New York Times, front page yesterday. Trump seeks Iran deal. Israel again raises possible strikes on nuclear sites. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, wary of a diplomatic solution to curbing Iran's nuclear program, continues to press for military action that would upend President Trump's push for a negotiated deal. it was an interesting. How else do I put this? It's an interesting article. In that, I'm just a guy that reads the news. You know, people call me, and I try to be careful about speaking on stuff I don't know or say, things I can't corroborate. I just react to the news as honestly as I can, and here it is, in a sense, spelled out. No, and Trump confirms it. Here it is, in a sense, spelled out, like in no mystery. Israel's in the way of peace here. Benjamin Netanyahu and the tension between in the dream team. I guess that's what happens, right? Men butting heads. Now, obviously, this kind of shows my ignorance, right? Like, wary of diplomatic solutions. my reaction is to circle the wagons. I'm with Trump. He wants the diplomatic solution. Anyone who doesn't get it, right? But I may be ignorant, right? Maybe he's wary of it because he just doesn't trust Iran. Is Iran really that trustworthy? But how involved should we be? So many. This article was just very clear to me. There was no mystery, and Trump confirms it too. That's the thing. Trump confirms that he did have a call with Benjamin Netanyahu and all that. So before I get too far ahead, I guess I have to read some of this. So you enter my mind, and then we can continue. Because I have read some of this, so some of what I'm saying is like already there. So New York Times, it goes like this. As the Trump administration tries to negotiate a nuclear deal with Iran, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel has been threatening to upend the talks by striking Iran's main nuclear enrichment facilities. Okay, so, right, that's what they want to do. They got enemies. They're doing their thing. The clash over how best to ensure that Iran cannot produce a nuclear weapon has led to at least one tense phone call between Trump and Mr. Netanyahu, blah, blah, blah. And Trump is saying that there's something coming. There's something good coming. All right? He's saying something good's coming. And so he's not too happy of anyone trying to mess that up. Okay? Others familiar with the negotiations said that at best there would be a declaration of some common principles. This is more details about their discussions. But those details are closely held. And that's really tight-lipped, I gather, from what Iran and the U.S. are talking about. But the New York Times reported that Israel had planned to strike Iranian nuclear sites as soon as this month, but was waved off by Mr. Trump, who wanted to keep negotiating with Tehran. Netanyahu, however, continued to press for military action without U.S. assistance. You start to think, well, if I'm like Trump or if I'm his supporter and he doesn't want war and this person is making it difficult, in a similar fashion, in my mind, in a parallel fashion to Zelensky, I'm willing to hear where I'm wrong here. In a parallel fashion to Zelensky, which is not so much of a sin in and of itself, right? I mean, these are world leaders vying for their motivations and agendas, etc. But you understand, as a supporter, or if I was Trump, and this person's in the way of peace, you'd think, this is where I show my ignorance, right? I think to myself, well, then why can't just Trump or the U.S. just let them, let's say, okay, we disagree on how to handle this. We're trying to make peace and all. You guys want to fight? Then duke it out and then just walk away? Or is that crazy? Like, obviously, these are the questions in my mind. This is where I show how my ignorance, right, in the sense. Because it seems to me like that would be an easy answer, right? If you're Trump, right, you're trying to set up this peace. And let's say it was Zelensky. And Zelensky doesn't want to. They get all this money and all this. Why can't... I think Trump. I don't want to misinform, but if I remember, didn't Trump kind of at least suggest to allow Russia to have its way with Ukraine should they not play ball? Like, what would happen? Is that on the table? So people tell me you can't, and I guess that makes sense, right? Because what would it look like should the U.S. just allow a nation to get bombed? I don't even know what to think of it, but in my mind it seems easy. Okay, I'm Trump, right? All right, you don't want to play ball? All right, then I don't know. you take on Iran if you really think you're that tough. I mean, if you don't want to play ball, and then whatever comes about from that, I guess you can wash your hands of it. I'm willing to hear. I'm willing to be educated, right? Be someone to flesh out my understanding here, right? Because I don't think that's a question that people informed about this even have. So, anyways, again, callers, call me back 888-775-3773. I had you there. What else did I want to say about this? That's pretty much the news. And where was I? Oh, yeah, that Trump confirms it, right? As it's not just like, New York Times article. I'm not making that many conclusions anyways, but I'm just reading this New York Times article, and then I hear Trump get asked if he had this call, and here he is. He says yes.
Prime Minister Netanyahu against taking some sort of actions that could disrupt the talks there in a phone call last week?
Well, I'd like to be honest. Yes, I did. Next question, please.
Mr. President, just last on sanctions.
I did, yeah.
If Senate Republicans want to push
It's
forward.
not a warning. I said I don't think it's appropriate.
What exactly did you tell him? Did you
I just said I don't think it's appropriate. We're having very good discussions with him, and I said I don't think it's appropriate right now. Because if we can settle it with a very strong document, very strong, with inspections and no trust. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody.
Say that again.
So no trust. I want it very strong where we can go in with inspectors. We can take whatever we want. We can blow up whatever we want, but nobody getting killed. We can blow up a lab, but nobody's going to be in the lab, as opposed to everybody being in the lab and blowing it up, right? Two ways of doing it. Yeah, I told him this would be inappropriate to do right now because we're very close to a solution. Now, that could change at any moment. Could change with a phone call. But right now, I think they want to make a deal, and if we can make a deal, save a lot of lives.
So that's the news for you. I mean, I think there's no mystery there. This could, from that article to Trump, there it is for you right there. So, I mean, I'm with Trump. I hope for peace. It seems to me like what needs to happen, as you look at the world, it seems like the world doesn't want that. And I don't know if I'm idealistic or just viewing the world wrong and saying that my impression is like Trump really does want peace and the world really doesn't want it. And that's kind of even the more sinister part of it, right? You had like Republicans and I get some of the thinking, and the thinking is what? Here's the narrative. A globalist-led American army empire, NATO-fied. I know I'm being very crude here. NATO has encroached upon a Russia who simply wants to be left alone. And this Russia, right, just defending itself. Trump is here to make that deal with this Russia that just wants to defend itself. And I can't really quite make sense of it. But it seems like Russia doesn't want to. So it's just a funny thing, no? To me, I conclude in my mind it's that Trump is here sincerely doing peace, right? The world told him, no, Russia's the Hitler of Russia. He doesn't want to make a deal. And I'm not saying that he's totally that. But it's a cutthroat world out there. It's a cutthroat world out there. And Trump might be from a... So anyways, I'm off in the clouds on this now. We got a caller here I want to get to you, 888-775-3773. That's pretty much the news. Trump is what was I saying now? I'm just saying the hand of God must come into play to make this happen. But is it even that difficult? Is God already with him? Here I am, just a guy with a mic saying things. But that's the situation. We'll see what happens. Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying. I was saying it seems like peace is the right move here, and I'm with Trump on that, and let Trump cook, right? Because that's how he's coming in on this. He's saying it's possible. So I'm saying let him cook at least. Anyone in the way of at least him cooking, at least him trying, is suspect, in my opinion, no? So here we are hoping for trouble in the dream team to settle down. You know, the men could be the leaders could be the leaders of the world and make amazing things happen. Wouldn't that be amazing? An actual dream. You know, the more you heard Jesse say it at first, and it's maybe funny, you know, but the more you hear, the more you say it, the more of a world-changing, possibly even for the better thing it would be. These three to shake hands in a coalition. What? Dreaming big. We got William out of California, sir. How you doing? You're on the air.
Hey, Nick. Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, I want to get in on this. Well, the short answer is that Israel is a lot more important to America than Ukraine is. And they've been, Israel's been together with the United States since the 40s. And Trump is not nervous. He knows how to deal, though. Let's give him credit, because all these things that they've been blocking him doing, if you notice a week later, they always say temporary block. They really can't stop him. But Israel is out there in the Middle East, and they're next door to was that Iran? Yeah, they're right next door. Mm-hmm. And Israel doesn't trust Iran at all. At the same time, Trump's trying to do this without sticking a missile down the chimney.
Right.
So he's got his friend who doesn't trust an arch enemy of both of us. And if he could try to get that done without firing a shot, if anybody can get that done, Trump can get that done.
Yeah, that's my impression of the situation. That's also my impression. It seems like that's what he wants, and I'd want him to have the best try,
right?
And everything.
He's
the president I voted for, right? So I just imagine I'd want him to have the best try at what he thinks is possible, and so anybody in the way of that, it's like, get out of the way.
Right. And the thing is you got to remember, Israel is out there, and he doesn't want to see an all-out conflict in the Middle East because, we got most of those countries in our pocket. They're all kind of like in our pocket. If they're not, they're struggling. And
in what way do you mean? Like Saudi Arabia and all that?
Saudi Arabia is not struggling, but they're, and see, Israel is not funded by us. They actually buy our equipment. They buy. And then they got some stuff they invented themselves. So they can protect themselves pretty good. We're just trying to get this thing done without Israel attacking, because they don't want an all-out war in the Middle East, because that's what it was in '67 when Israel kicked all their butts. And they even gave them their countries back. Usually that doesn't happen. When you lose, you usually lose your territory.
And why don't we want all-out war there? Which might sound like a silly question, but
because Israel has a bomb,
right?
And you don't want those flying, because if everybody's alert, their system tells them that there's been a nuclear bomb. That's just not good for the world.
So then we should take it. I don't know, put up a ban. No, hey, Middle East, sorry, we're banning you from nukes. I don't know.
Yeah, well, there's certain countries, they do not want them to have nukes. There's just certain countries, and Iran is one of them. North Korea is another one. They don't really want those kind of regimes having nuclear power. Simple as that. I mean, you rather see some bullets fly than a nuclear bomb.
I say we take all uranium out of that whole region, Israel included. Just make it safe. Just make it safe.
This is not even really.
But this requires then maybe the have a strong presence. I don't know.
Yeah, well, he's trying to keep the Middle East stable, which is very important for the whole world, because there's a lot on the table with that. You got human life, you got natural resources, and then you got the Suez Canal, which is a very important waterway. And, like I said, most of the countries that are not...
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No,
most of the countries that are not with us, most of the countries over there that are not with us are like like who's that? Where the Houthis are?
Correct.
It's a very unstable place.
Yep.
Israel is a very stable place, and they are the stability of the Middle East, actually. And we do protect them, and but if Israel wanted, because Trump knows if Israel gets impatient and say, forget this, they're supplying Hamas and they're bombing our citizens, taking them hostage. Israel can get sick of this and just have an all-out siege if they want. They've been held back by President Trump.
I understand, right? And so it seems, right, and it seems here that's being detailed very openly here. That's been the position from Trump.
Now Ukraine, not so much with Ukraine, because look, where are they? They're at our arch enemy's front door.
So you said that Trump wants to do this peacefully, right? Without having this bomb. We have this friend over there that we, and we have this other person that we both don't trust, right? Iran. And you said right. Trump's trying to make this happen without a bomb going off from there.
Because Iran can be
let's say
leveled.
they do that. Let's say, because I'm following I'm following what you're saying here, and I'm coming at it from just a simply like, well, here I am a Trump supporter, and here is his proposed strategy. Any actor trying to muddy that up, I have to think, well, let's game that out for a second. Let's say Israel bombs Iran. What do you? In my mind,
the relationship is not strained. You know what I mean? I see what you're saying. The relationship.
No, but
is
I'm just
not
saying. Let's
strained.
say that to happen. Can't Trump just say, "Oh, well, I didn't want that to happen. You just got yourself into an issue that I'm not going to help you with," or is that crazy? Like, so help me understand that. Or would they never do that, and why?
Well, the thing is don't you think it's better if Iran's they're an enemy of the states of both countries, but if the one superpower can get the bad guy to stop his behavior and keep his little brother from attacking him, which Israel is very capable of leveling Iran. And the United States, you don't even have to think about it. What would it be, about 2 weeks? We don't necessarily want to do that. But if it has to be done, it will be done.
I mean, if they could, wouldn't they? Why would they need our help with anything?
Well, they are our allies. I mean,
no, but I'm just on that statement alone.
England.
On just that one statement of them being able to level Iran. I'm just nitpicking that statement. It doesn't seem.
If you attack Great Britain, you have the same results. The United States are going to stand right there with them, no matter what.
Right. No, it makes.
And I mean it makes sense. It is a factor. It is a factor that Israel is getting impatient with this behavior, and they are actually over there. Trump knows that they're getting impatient with these guys. Israel's on the verge of wanting to just attack them, and Trump is trying to make it happen without bloodshed.
Right.
When both of them can actually level.
When this stuff comes up, it seems like can there only be one, William? Can there only be one? Can there only be the Jew or the Muslim? Like I hate to have to make such a decision.
But
I do tend to side with civility.
Right.
Maybe I get the impression, like you, that Israel is the stability
of the Middle East. Yes,
I do get this impression. So if I had to decide, but like, can there only be one, William? It seems that way. At least to them, it seems that way.
Too. There's another thing. There's another factor. Trump does not. He was trying to avoid it. We can handle it. We can handle every country over there if we win flat out war. It's another thing. It's a factor people don't think about, the religious thing. You get an all-out conflict in the Middle East, it is not a good thing, because that will be immediately Christian and Jews against Muslims, and that would be a mess.
What?
Yeah,
sounds terrible.
It's kind of complicated. It takes a special kind of guy to be able to handle it, though. Trump is doing that.
Waiting and seeing, sir. Yeah, it starts quickly getting out of my purview. What were you saying?
It's complicated. It's complicated. It goes a long way back. What do you think about the big, beautiful bill and some of the things that are in it?
I'm not familiar with it yet. I haven't familiar.
I know there's one thing that everybody's reading the wrong way, that welfare thing. With the dependents going from 18 to 7, a lot of them think that ain't as simple as just taking my food stamps from me. What it is that if your kid is over 7 years old, you need to take your tail to work. And that's what they're basically telling these people that have been on these programs for a long time. I know you had your conversation yesterday with the usual suspect about fairness. And there's nothing in this world fair. Mexico does not have what we have. They don't have what we have, and we don't want what they have. There's nothing fair. Nothing's even and fair. You just got to think about that. That's delusional. Fair, and you wouldn't need affirmative action if they wasn't being mistreated 200 years ago. That doesn't make any sense. With 2025, you don't.
Yeah, I mean,
don't make
it's
no
all
sense.
an attempt to fix unfairness with more unfairness. What's fair about making someone else taken from one and given to the other?
Yeah. If I can afford a car that's $1,000 and you can only afford this car that's only worth $200, well, I got the $1,000, or vice versa. You got the $1,000. You got the $1,000. I got the $200 car. You think You think it has to be fair that I have to drive the same thing that you drive, or live in the same place that you live in that maybe you can afford more than I can? There's nothing fair.
Fair enough. Yeah. No, I've yet to familiarize myself with the big beautiful bill, but I'm already hearing that Trump cut Medicaid. He just wants to cut stuff from the poor and give to the rich. So I'm hearing kind of the same.
That's the usual thing that they say when they usually don't know what they're talking about. And government funding is definitely not welfare. That is completely ridiculous.
Government funding. I mean,
well, what do you think? Which one's common sense? Do you think that's welfare?
There is nothing funding about welfare. There's nothing there. When you fund something, you kind of think to yourself, there's an investment of sorts, right? You're investing in something. You're going to get a building out of it. You're going to get a finished product. You're going to get an organization. I don't know. I can't consider welfare ever really funding much. I mean, I guess people get on it and then get a foothold and get better.
Chess. But let's look at this.
I don't know if they do that anymore.
You got the tariffs, and you got that, and he wants to bring all of these factory jobs back, right? That is an age group between 17 and 45. And that means go back to work. You should not even want that. You should rather have what he's bringing back over here, which is already started. It's already started. That I know you heard about the trade school $10,000 thing.
No, I'm not familiar, William, but you have to call me again on that.
Yeah, well, Trump's offering the $10,000 to trade school students, not college, trade school.
Oh, interesting. To boost people going into trade schools, going into trades.
So he's playing chess. All that stuff, welfare and all that stuff, not working versus working and taking care of yourself, is all lining up. The dots are connected. He's a pretty good negotiator,
No, of course we've been watching and
the art of the deal.
We've been witnessing it, right? Well, I can't do much more than just wait, right? Especially on all this, in the
it's
war
called
stuff.
The art of the deal. It's called the art of the deal.
Another arrow. We'll see how it ends. William, man, thanks for your call. Call me again.
Take care, man. All right.
888-775-3773. If you want to get in on the conversation, something on your mind. All right, so what the heck is going on here? Appreciate the super chats you guys going off here. Incredible. Bible Talk with C-Sal says, Nicholas Loud, what can I say? She wants a crown. She's super chatting again. She says, where's my crown? Chris says, cool. Bible Talk with C-Sal says, how many super chats are needed for my crown? Mr. Pink says, I was a king for about 5 minutes. And you know what, on that note, it says here are the rules for the community participation in YouTube. Okay. It says it's what's the leaderboard? A place for fans to stand out in the community. The top 3 get special badges and live chat. It resets every stream, so you can always try again. How do you get on the leaderboard? You'll need to collect experience points. Here's how you get them. Send live chat messages. Send super chats and super stickers. Incredible. And C-Sal, where did that put you in the leaderboard? We're doing a little A/B testing here. We're doing a little bit of A/B testing. I don't know if the leaderboard's like, do they close up and finish? Can you guys see your own experience? It says you have 75 XP. C-Sal. C-Sal, you are 13th. You are merely 13th. I'm sure they'll work it out. I'm sure they'll get you the points you're supposed to get. How did Pinocchio's helicopter get to number 1? And wait, what's this? This has to be a... There has to be a... let me see here. How do we check this? Viewer activity. Someone's got their thumb on the scale. How is it that C-Sal can super chat this much and not be the recipient of the number 1 place with the crown? How is she under Pinocchio, who has not super chatted even once? I'm trying to figure this out, folks, but we don't need to figure that out. We can move on. How about that? Lord Zeno with a super chat. Thank you for the support. I'm sure we'll figure out the science of the leaderboards. The science on getting a crown. Oh, the live chat. Maybe you can't game this, you can't rig it or game the system by just spamming. And maybe your super chat has to get liked a bunch, maybe. Maybe that adds to it. We'll find out. The game continues. So rigged. C-Sal cheated. Cheated out of a crown. Now, let's close all this up. Now, where were we? Let's move on here, talking politics a bit here. Concerning the tariffs. Now, basically, the news is simply this, right? U.S. court blocks Trump from imposing the bulk of his tariffs. That's pretty much the big news. The other tidbit here of big news. I mean, this was one of the more billed as and meant to be a more transformative aspect of his policies, no? Golden era, like making America great. Making sure we get the right deal. America first, this was an interesting one. I just saw so many, especially all the forces, so to speak, that came up against him. Honestly, that's when you know. That's when you know. The media, the European Union, and the world came up against him saying, this is a bad idea, man. Why are you trying to make things difficult? Because I'm trying to make it America first. How dare I fight for America? And so this was definitely an interesting one. Here's the news, CNN. Federal court on Wednesday ruled that President Donald Trump overstepped his authority to impose sweeping tariffs that have raised the cost of imports. But the administration immediately appealed the decision, leaving the situation unclear for consumers and companies and potentially prolonging the battle over whether Trump's import duties will stand. That's such that particular point is so nasty in my mind, considering his motivation to do this. As the president, you could disagree, etc., but he's got his economic plan to bolster and make America work, okay? You understand? Now, when it comes to economics, the key thing to the game, I gather, the little ingredient the world loves, the little people of the world, the little people of the nations, the little employees of the companies, the companies and businesses themselves. What they enjoy is this little thing called stability, right? Is yesterday a sort of good enough indicator for tomorrow? Will it continue in that way? Stability. And it's a pernicious little detail that the courts get to do this. It's already kind of you saw it. As soon as he does this, the stock markets took a hit, and it's wall-to-wall campaign saying this is a bad idea. This hurts too much in the short term. We can't do this. Short-term pain hurts too much. We can't. And if you understand, that was, to me, one of the more deeper aspects of this move. A president deciding to do something that will hurt in the short term to fix things in the long term. That is, you just don't see that. You just do not see that. That's a character thing. Okay? So it's already spicy. Then the courts get to do this crap, right? They get to, and then they write it in the article. They write it in the CNN article, and they write, leaving the situation uncertain. The administration immediately appealed, leaving the situation uncertain. What left it? Can we start where well, okay, fine. The uncertainty maybe didn't start with this U.S. court. Maybe it was fine. His tariffs, they're uncertain. But come on. And then you get to write your little article, leaving the situation uncertain. This little thing called stability. You just don't get to have it. You have enemies in the government. And this court power just gets to just pop up now. 3-judge panel at the U.S. Court of International Trade, a relatively low-profile court in Manhattan, stopped Trump's global tariffs that he imposed, citing emergency economic powers, including the Liberation Day tariffs he announced on April 2nd. All good? Okay. It also prevents Trump from enforcing his tariffs placed earlier this year against China, Mexico, and Canada designed to combat fentanyl, etc. The court ruled in favor of a permanent injunction, potentially grinding Trump's global tariffs to a halt before deals with other trading partners have ever been reached. See, that's the other aspect of it, too. I mean, that's what he told us. That's what he told us. He is attempting to negotiate with the world, okay? These are the chips, the cards in his hand. And the court just gets to snatch that away. I just find it's just another one of those proofs of the enemy here in a sense, but also put it like this, of the failure. Put it like this. For real though. When you look upon the government, who is there? Who is in the government that you trust, that gives you any sense, even the smallest shred of like strength? Like you see maybe a little bit, but like the way Trump does, and you can even criticize that, but I mean, doesn't that show you the bar is low? So what I'm getting at is, it's a failure. We don't have the technology. We don't have the technology, the will, the people, the know-how. How do you make America into the tariff country again? I mean, you got enemies, you got the courts going against you. What can you say? I mean, maybe even the government itself. All the branches. How do you make this? How do you one make such a thing happen? I mean, maybe it's not even possible. What are you talking about? Should I be concerned? No, we'll let our mods handle that. Where was I? Anyway, I don't even know that much about this. That's just the court blocking. This is definitely significant news. I mean, here's the president. Another one of his major actions. And again, the federal court's in his way. But that's pretty much it with the blocking of the tariffs. The economy and all that comes up. This thing with Musk, between Musk and Trump, has come up, right? And he has left. Well, I don't know if he's left Doge. I forget exactly the news, but he's essentially, well, not only, well, it says here he's exiting Washington and Doge. I mean, the reports were that his 130-day temporary job in the White House ended. But also, I mean, he's come out and has his own concerns about Doge and that whole thing. Doge. I mean, before even this and his recent comments, a week and a half probably before all this, Elon Musk was expressing some of his apprehension about Doge on X.com, his platform there. And if you remember, I mean, Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, you know, he's got what's it called? A vision of an efficient government, right? Imagine an efficient government. The dreams, maybe we could go to Mars, you know. Dream big. I mean, I love it. And the slush and mess that is the U.S. government. I mean, the countless money going to this program, that program, it doesn't get better. The fraud, the corruption, the endless wars. So you got government efficiently suddenly becomes more than simple clerical work. It becomes almost a transformational prospect. And so, right, so before some of this news came out and all that, in fact, before any of that, he was saying this, which was actually quite interesting. Elon Musk on X, I have come to the perhaps obvious conclusion that accelerating GDP growth is essential. Doge has and will do great work to postpone the day of bankruptcy of America. But the profligacy? Profligacy? Spell it. Profligacy? I don't know what that is.
Profligacy.
Oh, profligacy. Reckless extravagance, licentious or dissolute behavior, wastefulness in the use of resources. How do you say that again? Profligacy. Doge has and will do great work to postpone the day of bankruptcy of America, but the profligacy of government means that only radical improvements in productivity can save our country. Essentially, he's saying, is okay. You know, we're cutting stuff. We came in to cut stuff. We want to cut stuff. We're going to cut stuff. We're going to continue cutting stuff. But we can't cut the right stuff. We can't even get close to cutting the right stuff. We can't even get close to cutting a dent and really making the government efficient. And the things that must happen can't because, well, the government. The government is in the way. And that's according to Musk. I mean, that's what he's saying, right? He's saying we need to postpone this day of bankruptcy. He's saying what? He's saying this is an inevitable thing as things stand, as the cash flow stands, the ever-increasing debt that is ever harder to pay off, even the, I forget what they call it, the interest off, even on just the interest alone. So you have this runaway train on that end. Ever increases and ever devalues your currency. This runaway train will bankrupt America, and he will do his best to accelerate GDP and postpone that, but it's an inevitability. That's what he's saying. But you know what? Even this inevitability, he's saying this postponing, what does he mean now in this context? Save our country. It could mean, yeah, transforming it or just simply postponing this bankruptcy. That would be saving it. But what's even in the way of that? The government itself. We're talking about one of those aspects again, right? You guys are saying rigged. Yeah, in a sense, rigged, but it's that transformational aspect. You have to go back. You have to go to, yeah, this is great, and Trump's a legend, and hopefully his spirit goes on as But as things stand, America is not coming back. That's kind of where you got to go to. Where there's no sign of it. Right? Deport. But like Mark, my caller, said yesterday, they're ramping up to 3,000 a day. We did the math yesterday. That would just be 4 million across 4 years. 8 million came in under Biden. So efficiency, yeah, I cut the fat and all that, but also what's the big elephant pressing on the scale of how of the budget, the deficit? It's called welfare, right? Programs and free stuff, charity and war. So anyways, God is with us, and it says Epic AI movies, or is it Epic All movies? So how is this working? We now have Mark at the top of the leaderboard. Has he even donated? Look at this. I'm talking about overcoming the I'm sort of joking, but I'm here telling you to break free from the matrix. And it's like they put a little shiny crown and the rat race is off. Number 1 spot. Amazing. Lord Zenu with a super chat. William Joseph with a super chat. They're all coming for the number 1 spot. William Joseph is for sure coming for that number 1 spot, making that known. How is it Mark Stafford is number 1, crowned number 1 in the community leaderboard? How does that work? Is it because he's chatted the most? How does that work? YouTube. That's a little unfair, YouTube. Because now YouTube is making it so that you don't, you're making it so the people who super chat, they're getting. Well, now let's see what happens. Mark Stafford, the first place holder, has super chatted. Thank you so much. Deep. But, YouTube, here are some others who super chatted. They seem to be going lower and lower in the leaderboard. How does that work? You're de-incentivizing super chatters. What's wrong with you, YouTube? Thank you. Mark Stafford says paying King's dues. Big. Very big. Incredible. That's cool. Yeah, that's definitely cool. I'm glad you're enjoying it. What's up, Aaron? How you doing, sir? Appreciate all the coffee. Someone, buymeacoffee.com/anchorbaby. Very generous. And what else here? Thank you, Gerda Jules. Very cool. All right, folks. Let's keep it moving here. Let's close all this here. Now, where were we? Trump. Politics. Tariffs. Musk. That's where we were. He's apprehensive about some things. I bet you he's also I'm sure he must be apprehensive. Or I don't know if it's apprehension he's feeling or thinking at all, but it's a spicy situation. He's got baby mamas. Of all the high IQ things you could do, I mean, did you stop to think at all who you were impregnating? Mr. Musk. They call it a custody showdown, okay? They call it a custody showdown, and this has all been public, and you're familiar with his multiple baby mamas. His latest, this Ashley St. Clair. They're the custody showdown is apparently today. Custody showdown. the weakness of the man. I mean, he got himself in this situation in a sense, don't you think? I guess he could have, I mean, with all the money and the options he had, could he have known, though? Could he have known that the woman he would impregnate would then come out with a custody and paternity lawsuit? A custody and paternity lawsuit. Now, she says that she has to, forced to take legal action. She says, because she filed this lawsuit. What the heck? You see this, folks? We just went black. We just went dark. Oh, we're back. Okay, not sure what just happened there. You know, she says she files this. Well, she claims that Musk told her to keep it a secret. The thing is that she seemed to have agreed to keep it a secret. But that agreement didn't go well, so she's not happy anymore. She files a lawsuit, taking legal action against Musk. Pardon. Yeah, against Musk, they say the world's richest man. Musk's attorneys had previously petitioned the judge to seal the case, keeping his details secret and limiting St. Clair's ability to speak out. I guess that's not working out. You going to court. The hearing comes on heels of the tech boss abruptly announcing last night that he is quitting his role as a top government advisor to President Donald Trump after leading efforts to slash federal bureaucracy in the Department of Government Efficiency. But where was I? Yes, she went public claiming sensationally that the ex-billionaire is the father of her baby boy. Of course, what was particularly interesting, if you remember, and Daily Mail reminds us here, how she made a big stink, honestly, how she was forced to sell her $100,000 Tesla after Musk cut her child support in half. And I don't know the details exactly what happened there. But I mean, Ashley St. Clair is not exactly a destitute single mother left behind, right? Just left destitute. That comment. Maybe I'm the villain here, caring too much about people's personal lives. I mean, Musk got himself in this situation, right? It's just when she says things like, I needed to, look, this is a quote from her. I needed to make up the 60% cut that Elon made to our son's child support. You had to make that up? Like without, I'm surviving and living and this billionaire wants to cut it. I have to make that up. I need to make that up. I need money. But it's like she already has money. She's been pretty successful in the conservative sphere commenting, but hey, what the heck do I know? Maybe she's out of money. Maybe she ran out of money. I don't really know that, actually. But where was I? This is just that I can't help but look. I can't help my senses go off, right? You read something like that, it's like, so conservative influence, it just doesn't matter. That's not, you got to watch yourself. That doesn't matter. Oh, she's a conservative. She could still come out with something like feminist thing like this, sort of. I guess that's the point. Where was I? Musk. I was thinking about trophy wives maybe a little bit. This clip of Trump talking about trophy wives and Elon Musk and his dealings. I guess they are personal. Are pretty public. These things go around. Maybe I'm nasty. His personal life. But, thinking about the things these powerful men go through, successful men, does it happen to everybody all the time? Maybe not. But look, here's Trump delivering this commencement address at West Point. This was some time ago. It's a couple days ago. A little on trophy wives, you have to wonder when Trump's talking here. Is he having a moment also of is he reflecting knowing all too well what he's talking about here?
Company, and he had nothing to.
Oh yeah, I forget who he's talking about. I had this a moment ago, but it kind of just starts in the middle here. He ended up getting a divorce, found a new wife. Darn, I forget who. Oh, someone here is asking. Oh, this is from 2020? What? I don't trust Grok. You know, honestly, everybody on X, they'll see a post, and the first thing they type is, Grok, what does this mean? What is this? Someone will say, I went to the store. Grok, what does this mean? What did they mean by I went to the store? And then Grok will give them wrong information. And usually it's when it's a video. It's clearly these AIs are having trouble gathering information from a video. But people do it anyways. And then they'll, I'm sure, take this as information. So I can't even trust this. 2020 West Point speech. Let's find out. 2020 West Point speech. Grok alleges he's talking about William Levitt. Maybe it's true. See, no. Grok
He built
is wrong.
Levitt Towns.
Grok is wrong. See, this is confirmed, posted 5 days ago, May 24th, 2025, the West Point graduate speech I'm talking about. You got to watch it with the AIs, man. Let's listen to him. Trophy wives.
Company, and he had nothing to do. He ended up getting a divorce, found a new wife. Could you say a trophy wife? I guess we can say a trophy wife. It didn't work out too well, but that doesn't work out too well, I must tell you. A lot of trophy wives doesn't work out, but it made him happy for a little while at least. But he found a new wife. He sold his little boat and he got a big yacht. He had one of the biggest yachts anywhere in the world. Company.
I mean, duh, right? I guess that's how people find looking for love and looking for happiness. That's how it happens. They just keep on looking, never finding. Was he speaking wistfully? Maybe I know all too well. It didn't work out too well, right? Can you say trophy wife? A lot of trophy wives, it doesn't work out. Made him happy for a little while, right? Makes you happy for a little while. He's saying here, I think talking maybe a little bit from experience, short-term happiness, segueing here a little bit into, how do I put this, a little segment I have here, concerning men and women, the conversation between them as of late.